taxpayers. In a letter released this week, Senator Chuck Grassley says the trip includes recreational activities not related to any official business. By the way, some of those recreational activities, some of these folks would have to pay for, but we still pay for their flight and their stay in Hawaii for this conference. Senator Grassley is a ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee who joins us live. And Senator, we've reached out to the Ninth Circuit hoping to get a little bit more information about how and why they chose Maui, besides the obvious. Have you received any information as to why this particular site was chosen?
I have not, and we've asked several other questions. We've looked at their agenda. It looks like the agenda is at least half recreation, and some of the conferences that they're having or seminars they're having, like how to use an iPad as an example, doesn't seem to me like a very heavy conference. And I'm not raising objections to having conferences. I'm raising objections to having them in very expensive places. More so, I think we got to get into this new environment where corporate America is, where you're doing more through social networking and use the latest teleconferencing methods of having conferences, so you don't have to spend so much money.
You know, that brings up, if I could, Senator, that brings up something that our viewers, we asked our viewers, you know, where would you like to see this conference to be held if it wasn't Maui? We got some pretty colorful responses on that. But Joe said he'd like to see the conference being held at a site where it's not a burden to the taxpayer. Does that site even exist? If there's a conference and it's a government conference, aren't we always going to just be footing the bill for it?
The answer is yes. If you're on government travel and it's within the law, you've got a right to be reimbursed for that. I would say in the Ninth Circuit, a place to have it would probably be in Montana, someplace where it'd be a lot cheaper than having it in Maui. If it was the Eighth Circuit of the United States, that's the circuit that my state of Iowa's in, I'd say come to Des Moines. I can show you where I stay at the Days Inn for $56. So, you know, there's cheaper places to have it for sure. But here's the issue. We've got this GSA conference that wasted $828,000. That's bringing a lot of interest from the grassroots about it. We've got Judge Gibbons, chairwoman of the budget conference our budget committee for the judicial conference, saying we're already laying people off because we got our budget cut by 5%. So we got to be careful how we spend our money, and it doesn't look like they're following that admonition very well.
You know, Senator, you've been in office for more than 30 years now, and you've been, you know, the front row seats are really an interesting time in history. And I'm wondering just your opinion on this. Where do you think it went wrong to where, you know, we're having conferences like the GSA or having in Las Vegas or potentially this one in Maui? Has this just always been what government has been about, meaning that this has just been happening over the last several decades and we're paying more attention? Or did something switch? Was there something that switched at a certain time where this went into an area, as you say, is really tone deaf to where the country is?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can answer the history of that, but one thing that brings a major concern up is 3 or 4 years of $1.5 trillion deficits and the massive burden we're leaving to our children, grandchildren. That's a concern coming from the grassroots of America, and people understand sending judges to Maui, spending $1 million doing it. It's a lot more understandable to the taxpayers than maybe spending $3 or $4 billion someplace else.
Yeah, how do we fix it is the big question. We look forward to having you back as we gather more information on this situation and others. And you know, Skype sounds pretty good right now, right? It's free. We could all Skype together instead of traveling.
Yeah. Well, for instance, I'll be Skyping with a high school in northwest Iowa later on this afternoon.
There you go. So we're putting it to work. Senator Grassley, nice to have you again. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you.